Plaintiff Linda Pesco is suing her ex-husband, Frank Pesco, for veterinary bills and grooming costs. Linda says she left her beloved dog with the defendant while she was on vacation, and she was devastated when she found out he was hit by a car. Frank says the accident with his ex-wife's dog was out of his control, and he gave her all the money she's owed. Frank says he believes the plaintiff is suing because he recently had his child support modified.
Today, Linda Pesco is suing her ex-husband, Frank Pesco, for veterinary bills, grooming costs, and court costs. Linda, the two of you were married at one point?
We were.
What happened?
Actually, what happened is we've always had a very cordial relationship in regard to our sons and to my pets.
How many sons do you have?
Two sons, Christopher and Timothy, 18 and 20, and two dogs, Homer and Bart.
Homer.
Bichon Frise.
I have a pig named Homer.
I heard.
I do. And Wilbur. Homer is no longer with us, but Homer, was 16 when she passed. But anyway, Homer, a Bichon Frise?
He is.
Yes. Okay.
And it's been kind of a standing annual event that I take my boys skiing with me in February school vacation. And my ex-husband has always taken care of the dogs, kind of in exchange and helping me out.
That's very nice. So?
And he likes the dogs like him. I feel confident and comfortable, in his care. Unfortunately, this particular vacation, an incident came up unbeknownst to me and was reiterated to me by my son that the dog got hit by a car.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And this was one day prior to my coming back from New Hampshire, back home from a nice vacation with my children. And my son Christopher had driven up the night before or 2 nights before and didn't want to tell me because he knew I'd be very upset. These dogs have been with me a long time. I care about them an awful lot. I was devastated.
So what happened? What happened to the dog?
Your Honor, that day there was a snowstorm in the Boston area, and I was released from work early because there was a blizzard coming in. I ran home. I was watching the dogs. I had to take them for a walk to do their business. Had them on their leashes. On the way back, as I was walking up the ramp to get them home, get them across the street, one dog jumped in the other. One got loose, started running for the street. He ran into the back of the car, okay? Started screaming. Again, we're in blizzard conditions here. I still had the other dog. I picked up Homer, took him to my apartment, called my son Christopher, who was on his way up to the timeshare chalet. I took the dogs over to the veterinarian. They said Homer was in very poor condition. He had some pre-existing...
How old was Homer at this point?
He's 11.
He was 11 years old. Okay. You took him to the vet. What did the vet tell you?
Vet did an X-ray. Okay, show me the X-ray. Goes, there's no breaks. There's a slight tear in his leg.
Excuse me, Your Honor, but I do have all of the veterinary...
You have the medical records, the veterinary records?
And it explains exactly what's wrong with the dog.
Okay, thank you, Jimmy.
You're welcome.
All right, walk-in appointment, catheter, intravenous. How did you get there? It must have been tough even getting there if there was a blizzard.
I called them first. They said, yeah, hurry up over because they're getting ready to leave because of the conditions.
All right, so you got there.
I got there, yeah.
All right, $275. Go ahead.
They x-rayed him. They commented on the really poor condition he was in. Prior to that, they showed me tumors in his stomach and his teeth were sort of rotted out also. They kept him overnight.
All right, so you picked up Homer the next day?
Yes.
Okay. So you pick up the dog, you call your ex-wife, and what happens? Why are we here?
He picked up the dog. He never called me.
He called your son?
My son is in Massachusetts. I'm in New Hampshire. I'm the owner of the dog.
I thought you were on vacation with your kids.
I was, but the son didn't come up till later.
Okay. All right, so he called your son. Why didn't you call her?
Excuse me, Your Honor. My son went up there that same night, the same day that it happened, and informed her that evening what had happened. Okay. Also, we have cell phones. She's in New Hampshire. I'm in Boston, and there was really no connection going on there with the phones.
I have a phone in my condo, and I gave my numbers to everybody.
But did you tell your son to tell his mother?
What had happened, yes, and he did.
Okay. All right. So you found out about it. As soon as you heard about it, did you come home?
I was going to come home. Christopher calmed me down. He said there really wasn't any reason to go home because the dog was still going to be held overnight.
So then why are you even making an issue with the fact that he didn't call you right away, but instead had your son call you when you don't even leave that day? I'm not saying you should or shouldn't have, but you're trying to make him look bad for not calling you directly, when the truth is, when you heard, you didn't do anything different anyway.
Well, I could have left that night.
But you didn't. That's my point.
Christopher told me not to go. He
Right,
said,
and I don't have a problem with that. But I'm saying, don't try to make him look bad for not calling you when he had
I
your
really
son
wasn't
call
trying
you.
to
It
make him look
wouldn't have
bad.
changed your behavior in either event. Okay, what are we talking about in terms of expenses?
Really not that much, Your Honor. It shouldn't have even come to this. I do have some, the $497, an additional consultation, and there are some additional fees that I will have to, pay.
Yeah, you can, Jimmy, why don't you take them? Let me ask you a question. How did the dog get loose? I mean, you've taken care of this dog for what, 12 years or
12
so?
years, Your Honor.
Twice a year?
Twice a year. Anyway, yes.
And Homer's never gotten loose before?
No.
So what do you think happened that day?
Well, I would say condition-wise, I have gloves on my hands. I'm talking almost a nor'easter, Your Honor. This came in fast. One jumped on the other. The leashes got entwined, sort of. Mm-hmm. Homer then just got loose at the last second and just took off.
When he gets loose, what are you holding?
When he gets loose, he's gone. I'm holding nothing. I'm still holding Bart's leash. Homer's gone.
Oh, so the leash is out of your hand.
Right. Yes,
it's not that the collar came off his head. Okay. Linda, go ahead. What else do you want him to pay for?
Nothing. I just want the dog to be taken care of.
All right, let me see. You have a picture of the dog? All right, let's see the dog. Thank you. Oh, this one's Homer?
That's Homer.
Very cute. Cute cage. Oh, he's adorable.
I just feel terrible every time I look at him that he's never going to be able to run again. And that I have to pick him up to go to the bathroom and pick him up to go wherever he needs to go. And this was a dog that just loved to run. He loved to run and nothing else.
What injury did he have as a result of his running away from Frank?
The vet that saw him told me that he had an Achilles tear on his tendon and multiple fractures in his right rear leg.
Frank said the right front leg. Didn't you say the right front leg?
I might have been wrong, Your Honor.
Okay. No, I don't know which it is. I'm not sure.
It is the rear leg.
Your Honor, this happened in February, and she brought up this incident in 3 months later in May.
So what does that tell you? What's your point?
There was also a prior incident on my youngest son turned 18.
I really don't want to discuss this, Your Honor. It has nothing to do with the case.
Well, I'll decide. Go ahead.
He came to live with me, and I then had to go into court for a child mortification. I was being garnished for child support. Mm-hmm. So on April of that year, I put in for child mortification because now I had both boys living with me. All of a sudden, from the clear blue...
When you say modification, you're not talking about modification of visitation. You're talking about modification of child support.
Financial, yes.
Right.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so what happened?
Then out of the blue, I get the summons on the dog. 3 months.
So what are you saying? Did you win a child support modification
I did
against
end up winning
the plaintiff?
The child support modification.
And you think that this is in retaliation for that?
I think it's a financial situation, Your Honor.
Okay. What are you after?
Just the vet bills that I have right now.
We've got $497.82.
And $135 for the second consultation.
For the consultation,
Your Honor.
Right. Hold on, Frank.
I'm sorry. I mean, he will have to be on medication for the rest of his life. The medication isn't a great expense. It's $16 a month.
Okay.
So I figured in the $16 a month for 5 years and maybe an office visit every 3 months to just check his blood.
And what do you come up with for that?
I think this is 5 years now, $960.
All right. Let me ask you a question. Linda, do you think it's possible for there to be an accident and that really no one at the end of the day is responsible?
I think it's possible, but I think when a dog gets off a leash or runs, this dog is only 10 pounds. It's got tangled up and the dog pulls it right off of him. Is that possible? A little dog like that is going to just run away from him.
But you got to understand, we're in the middle of a storm
Why are we out in the storm?
So that they can go to the bathroom before the storm hits.
Across the street, over at the beach. Why not in the backyard? Why not just around the corner?
You know what's interesting about this is there are so many things that we can look at in life and say, you know, it would have been simpler to do things this way or that way. At the end of the day, I get the sense that Frank is a guy who's tried to accommodate you, who's taken care of the dogs for 12 years, twice a year, 2 dogs. I get the sense he's as devastated as you are. I think you care for these dogs.
Your Honor, probably if you put the dogs in the middle of the courtroom right now, they'd come to me before anybody. The dogs love me.
Okay, and I assume that you know what? Linda, it doesn't matter. But what he is exhibiting to me is the fact that he does care for these dogs. And at the end of the day, he can be responsible for injury that is caused to or damage to property. It's not even in your state considered injury per se because it's an animal. An animal is considered property. That's why you can't recover for pain and suffering for an animal. Your claim apparently for grooming because you have to keep the dog groomed now more than you used to?
No, it's not additional grooming. It's because the dog can't stand on 4 legs anymore.
Right.
And the groomer said to me, I used to charge you $30, but I can't do that anymore because it takes me longer. He's very sensitive in that area. He can't stand for long periods of time on 3 legs. Mm-hmm. I know it sounds terrible, but it's like she's charging me more. Mm-hmm. Is it my fault he can't stand on 4 legs? Maybe it's nobody's fault. All I know is I have a bill that I have to pay. The vet is after me and won't treat my dog anymore unless I can come up with the money.
I think, though, that Homer had a lot of problems before this accident. Isn't that true?
He did, but none that needed, that he couldn't walk. Okay.
You're projecting in the future for vet bills. I can't award a monetary amount for something in the future. What if, God forbid, Homer doesn't live that long? You know, you can't get an advance on money owed. What you can do legally is get money that is owed to you. And therefore, my verdict is for $497, $135, and then $632.82. Good luck.